There is a Coke commercial about a 100-year-old Filipino man who gives his take on life. It starts out with him leaving his village on a boat and talking about how lucky he was to be born and to have family and friends. Then it shows him getting on a plane and it cuts to what appears to be his granddaughter or great-granddaughter giving birth. He then begins to give his advice, which is, go find what makes you happy. He talks about how time flies so fast that we should not waste it on nonsense. He arrives at the hospital to see the newest member of the family. He goes on to say how he has really enjoyed his 100 years of life with his family and friends, and realizes that 100 years is just not enough time. Of course, the commercial ends with him back at his village spending time with his family members while drinking Coke. While this was a great commercial with a good message, it was a worldly one that did not include God. Don't get me wrong, I love the message that is taught because the basic message can be found in the Bible. We are truly blessed to be born and to have family and friends. Of course, none of this would be possible without God because He created us and set everything into motion. As the man said, we should go find what makes us happy, but this is a vague statement that could include anything. We know that God has given us free will, and He will allow us to choose whatever path we want. For example, notice what God allowed people to do, as recorded by Paul. While God will allow you to choose what makes you happy, you must understand that there are severe consequences when you allow sinful things to make you happy. As Christians who love God, when we seek things out to make us happy, they should be righteous things. As Paul wrote, Philippians 4:8, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. 9. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. He gave great advice about how time flies and how we should not waste our time on nonsense. This is also true when it comes to spiritual matters. Again, Paul writes, Titus chapter 3, verse 9. But avoid foolish disputes, genealogies, contentions, and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and useless. Verse 10, reject a divisive man after the first and second admonition, and verse 11, knowing that such a person is warped and sinning, being self-condemned. I also agree that we should remember where we came from no matter where we end up. While I believe this man meant this from a different perspective, I agree with the principle. From a spiritual point of view, we need to remember that we came from God. Without Him, we would not exist. To remember where we came from will help us focus on God. As the man said, it is wonderful to spend time with family and friends, but it is even more important that we spend time with God and live our lives for Him. Matthew chapter 10, verses 37 and 38. He is also correct that 100 years does not seem like enough time, but as Christians we can know that no matter how much time we have on this earth, if we live for God, we will have eternity in heaven, and we can spend eternity with all our families and friends who also live faithfully to God in accordance with His Word. I realize this was just a Coke commercial, but it would have been more touching to have God in the picture and the hope that He offers. So enjoy your family and friends, but never leave God out of your lives.